friend.
Most Muslims, I know many, are great people.
Watch this.
People.
You're listening to the Dean Obadala Show, where comedy meets politics and all things in between.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. We're live Friday, May 31st. In the studio, it's our friend Shelly Wright, country music star, activist for the LGBT community, trailblazers, got a new EP out, Revival. We're going to talk about a lot of issues. We'll take some phone calls as well. Why don't we do that as well, Shelly? Shelly, thanks for being here, my friend.
You know I'm always glad to be here with you. I fear that my Instagram video that I did as I entered the building, it didn't capture my exuberance. I felt like it was authentically how I was feeling, but no.
Matt, can you get the Instagram video that Shelly made so we can play it? Matt, please, we're going to cue it up. I want people to judge at home.
Well, but the visual, they're not going to see the visual.
So no, you're walking in the streets of Manhattan. Look, I'm needy, right? I'm not joking when I go, I'm the neediest Muslim. I'm like, I might not be the best Muslim, but I'm the neediest. I want to play a little bit of Shelly walking in here. Go ahead.
Okay, Midtown again. Going up to do Dean Obadala's show on Sirius. Lots of radio, lots of talking. Dean's really smart and funny and nice. So I'm happy to come to Midtown.
All right, I think we've heard enough. I have to begin with, and I'm in Midtown again.
Okay,
and,
I get that.
Oh, yeah, he's funny and smart, so I guess I'm okay to be on, but I'd still rather be on where I live with my family.
I get that.
Did you get that now?
I did. I see. Point taken. Duly noted.
Look,
it won't happen again.
You're a performer, Shelly. You should be like, you should have written a song. I'm going to see Dean Obadala. That's
yeah, but
song,
listen,
the Dean Obadala song.
Don't you tire of the kind of put on enthusiasm from somewhat public people? I'm so excited. I get a little tired of. I'm so excited.
I don't. I need that. I live off that.
Few things excite me.
Well, Shelly's seen a lot in this world. She's been around, and look. I'm sincerely happy.
I'm a curmudgeon.
No,
it happened.
I'm so happy you're here, and I'm just joking around with the other video, stuff like that. And when I heard it the second time, it actually sounded worse. I'm like, wow, she's just like, it's like someone's going like, oh my God, I've got to go food shopping. Oh, I forgot the milk. I got to go back to the store for the fourth time today.
But I like milk.
Right.
Milk is lovely.
So you're doing that. You're showing all your work. Like for us, you're like, but he's a nice guy. And he's funny. So, all right, I'm going to put up with this. I know you did Michelangelo's show yesterday.
I did, and John Fugelsang's show.
This is just ridiculous. You used to you were on John's show before anyone's show, to be honest, and Michael's show years ago as well.
Years ago. You know what? You're right. I seem ungrateful. I am
glad. It's not, I don't want
I'm glad to get to talk to you always, whether it's on the air or text.
It's not.
You really are my Muslim buddy.
I am your MBFF. Your MBFF. Your Muslim best friend forever. So, just you walked in, the breaking news came across the screen. 11 dead. Because at first it seems 6 were injured. So I'm like, well, this is just a minor thing. They just had a press conference, Virginia Beach. 11 are dead. 6 others wounded. I assume some fighting for their lives. All we know, it happened at a municipal center in Virginia Beach. That the suspect apparently is arrested. We don't know more. Mm-hmm. Will this change anything?
No. I mean, this will be gone by tomorrow's Saturday, so it won't even be a news story. It'll be over. We won't be. I mean, look at. Not everyone's even talking about it.
We have the screens on here. There's 3 cable channels, and only CNN is covering it right now. Oh, now Fox News went to it. So, but the idea of if 11 Americans died, we've had mass shooting. We had Las Vegas at the Country Music Festival,
one of the biggest in the history of America.
Over 50 people killed. We've had mass shootings at a church. In Texas, where a guy went in and just slaughtered people in a church, a Christian church. You would think that would
Don't forget the grade school.
And you mean Sandy Hook years ago? But I'm talking about just in the last year or so. And nothing changes. Nothing happens. It is a horrific Groundhog Day where we live in a country now where we're numb, and Parkland, that's the school you're about, you mean, and that got...
No, I didn't know you were talking about recent.
I meant recently, Parkland, the high school in Parkland, Florida. And that one, though, because the young people took the streets and had a mass rally...
They moved the needle.
I thought it made me get reinvested in an issue which I thought, why use any of my emotional capital on an issue that doesn't move?
Yeah.
But on a state level, things have changed. I just had Shannon Watts on last night, 2 nights ago, from Moms Demand Action. She came in the studio. On a state level, some really good things have happened. Federally, though, The NRA still owns this Congress, at least enough of them not to get legislation passed. Let's put it that way.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
About the NRA. I know that that's like one of the things we say after these things happen. We say the NRA owns Washington, the NRA, the gun money, the gun lobby. Is it really the NRA?
They're representative, I think, in my view, of all the people who have a similar mindset, which is you can't pass any law whatsoever to save lives because you're reducing my access to my God-given right to have any gun I want. And it's too bad 11 people died in Virginia.
Yeah.
But they'll give you some other reason, nothing to dealing with gun access. Look, it's easy access to guns, not having federal laws that truly criminalize federal gun trafficking in ways that we need. That's why you need federal laws. Guns are transportable. So you have Indiana has lax laws, but then Chicago's got stiff laws. Doesn't matter. You buy a gun legally in Indiana.
Take it to Chicago.
Drive it. And that's why 60% of the guns in crimes in Chicago come from other states, primarily from Indiana. It's just there. And she made that big point, Shannon.
Yeah, and she's amazing. Like, what an
5
amazing
kids.
person. Yeah, she's amazing. She texts me almost every day.
Are you friends with her?
I'm on her text list.
Oh, you
for
are?
Moms Demand Action. But so
are you a mom that demand action? You're like, I want to change. Like you're involved in this organization.
Yeah, I mean, but my thing about the NRA is I know that they're powerful. I've read the stats, and I know, every time that we can understand how much the NRA has given to certain candidates, it's remarkable and kind of mind-boggling. But I think there's more to it. I don't think it's just the NRA. I think it is toxic masculinity plays a role. This kind of fake patriotism. A lot of these, my friend Eric calls them amosexuals, because they become this becomes their religion, having weapons and guns, and it's most of them have not served in the military. Most of them are not law enforcement. They wear camouflage to the grocery store.
They open carry. They go in there,
and it's about toxic masculinity, I think. So I think, I'm not trying to let the NRA off the hook, but I think we have to look at the composite of.
Well, that's a fair point. No, it's a very fair point. And the NRA, on some level, is sort of just shorthand, in my view, for. I guess it's literally the NRA, but it's shorthand for people who subscribe to that view, even if they do not belong to the NRA, which boasts about 5 million.
Right.
That's it, members. But in reality, the people in this country who subscribe to a view, I don't want even universal background checks, because somehow the government's going to keep a gun register and know who has guns.
If the black Muslim president who was in office for 8 years... I'm kidding.
I know you are.
Didn't take away people's guns, then nobody's going to. My dad is a gun owner. I grew up hunting. Like, my dad was a hunter, and he'd still be a hunter if he were, able to get around like he used to. My dad thinks that the NRA is ridiculous. My dad wants gun control. He says it in those terms. He's former military. He says there's no reason that anybody
has
not on a battlefield.
I agree with you. So let's talk about, because this story is just Groundhog Day. You can come back in a month from now, and that could be the same breaking news, 11 dead someplace else, and nothing will change.
Nothing.
There'll be literally no policies advocated to change this. And in Virginia, maybe there might be a state law to change it. But again, guns are too transportable. You need a federal approach to actually reduce the number of people being killed every day. And today, 30 Americans will be murdered on average, not even adding this to it. But all told, about 100 Americans will die today with guns involved, with actually about 60 are suicides using guns, and the other ones are accidental deaths. So you've got, and 5 to 8 children every single day. And for those people who don't think suicides will not be reduced by guns, well, studies show that if you use a gun, obviously the chance of succeeding is greatly higher. And in states where they have waiting periods, the deaths go down of suicides as well, because someone might be despondent, go buy a gun. But if you have to go wait 3 days, sometimes things change. Sometimes they get help. They're not as rash with it.
I owned a gun from 1991 till 2009. And it's the same gun I write about in my book that I nearly ended my life with. When I was a kid, I had to take a hunter's safety course, and that was just part of.
What is that? What do you do?
I had to learn I had a license, not a license, but I passed a course that allowed me to shoot a weapon. For the purposes of hunting.
So-
It's a very farm thing. But I had no business having a 9mm. I was mugged at knife points. My parents drove a 9mm gun to their daughter in Nashville. And I had this weapon, and it would be the reason I almost didn't live, because I was going through a really hard time in my
Right.
life, and I almost ended my life with it.
And you talked about it in your documentary as well.
Mhm,
And that, and the fact that you had a gun, did it make you think, like, if you didn't have a gun, would have suicide still jumped into your mind?
Not with that.
Mhm.
Not, I just knew that would be fast and certain.
Exactly. That's the truth. If you put a gun to your head or into your mouth,
And I can tell
you're
you,
unlikely going to survive that moment.
there would have been, on that really difficult night, there would have been no other means for me I didn't have any medication that I could have overdosed on. I suppose I could have hung myself, but I don't know that I would have known how to do that. And again, I don't want to seem flip about suicide and the ways in which a person can do it. But my thinking that night was, this is really kind of my only way to do it, and I could have done it. So I think.
And
yeah.
what we've talked about this before, but it kind of segues into what we're going to talk about here with the LGBT issues and what Trump tweeted today. By the way, he tweeted after I sent you the topics. I'll read his tweet. But what was it that drove you to that point, if you don't mind again sharing?
Well, I lived an entire life of a lie, and country music is very, conservative. Certainly was when I first got to Nashville in 1989. I was trying to get a record deal. I didn't want to be gay. I didn't think I was going to hell like I used to think, but I knew I just definitely could not let that get out. And I just hit it. And I had a relationship for a long time, and we hit it, and my life just began to kind of unravel in the worst possible ways. And I had a stark realization at some point that, boy, this is not working. And I was exhausted from kind of the big lie that I'd been manufacturing. And so I've said this often, but I wasn't about to end my life because I'm gay. I was about to end my life because I didn't know how to exist. I didn't know how to recreate my world in truth. Somebody asked me the other day why more artists don't come out. And I defend them in saying that one of the most difficult things about coming out, if you're a publicly known person, is that from the get-go, when you come out, you have to acknowledge without caveats, I lied.
Right.
It's humiliating.
That's interesting. That's the other side to it. You don't even think about, because people just applaud the courage often it is, depending who it is and what the situation is, to come out. They know that there might be a downside to their career. But I didn't know you when you came out. I read about you. When Ellen DeGeneres came out, or others, I didn't think for a second, wow, she's been lying to us all these years. I don't think of it that way, but you do as the person. That's kind of interesting.
You'd be surprised how many negative articles or posts or responses from the general public, some organized in publications and such, but how many of people point out, well, you're a liar then, right? I've had people in interviews ask me point blank, well, then all those years you were just lying.
Right.
And I found the Bishop Gene Robinson, I don't know if you know, the first gay Episcopalian priest, and my mentor, Reverend Welton Gaddy, one of the things both of them told me early on, I asked them, what do I say when they hit me with that? And they empowered me to say, there's nothing like saying that's correct. I was lying. Do you want to know why? Can I tell you why I was lying?
That's interesting.
And my friends who've come out in country music subsequent to my coming out, I was so glad to get to share that with them, because one of their biggest fears was having to acknowledge that they'd in some way either lied overtly or lied, in a lot of different ways. And it is so empowering when someone says, yeah, but you were a big fat liar then. And the answer is, yep.
I can't believe people say that. Why is it even... It's not even on my buffet of things I might say to someone. If they came out I never would think oh, so you've been lying all these years. Why would, unless I was in a relationship with a woman and then she goes, by the way, this is not working out because I'm actually gay. Then I'll be like, why did you lie to me?
Right.
That would have been why weren't you just true to yourself? Why did you have to do that?
Yeah.
Except for me personally, I look at the other side. I'm like, all right.
Well, you're an empath. You always have been. So this is the difference. There's a delineation of people. They fall on one side or the other without fail. It's binary.
Okay.
You're either an empath or you think immediately in the moment, how does this affect me, my feelings?
Well, that's Trump.
Yeah.
Trump's everything about him.
So do you want to read his tweet, and then do you want to read what I tweeted back?
Oh, I don't. Did you tweet? Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I got
look
it.
up.
I got
so
it.
So Trump tweeted today at 3:30, and this Shelley was coming on, and we were talking about the history of Trump, even new rollbacks of Obama-era regulations to ensure equality for LGBT community, and even horrific stuff for the transgender community. Like, he's just been off the charts.
Yeah.
But he tweets at 3:30 this afternoon for no reason.
It's so good. Go.
As we celebrate LGBT Pride Month and recognize the outstanding contributions LGBT people have made to our great nation, let us also stand in solidarity with the many LGBT people who live in dozens of countries worldwide that punish, imprison, or even execute individuals. And then it goes on to say who are LGBT. So
a couple things. Here's my response. Mr. President, thank you for all you do for LGBTQIA people. We really are so lucky to have you at the helm of so many important decisions that affect our community. Your steady commitment to protect LGBTQIA Americans is unparalleled, in my opinion. And then, like 20 minutes later, I wrote in a parenthetical statement, I just wanted to see what it feels like to tweet something that is demonstrably the opposite of the truth. It was surprisingly fun.
that's very nice. So you lived as Trump for a moment there. Like,
I just wanted to.
That's very funny. Did any of your friends respond before you did the other one?
They were like, "What? Wait, what? Did you get hacked?"
Shelley was like no, I sold out. Now you're the Candace Owens of the country music world.
I did.
Someone called about her.
Go back to what he tweeted, if you will. Can you? Can you tweet? Can you read again? And I want to stop you at a certain point.
I only have the first part because it just me and the second one.
Yeah, read.
As we celebrate LGBT Pride Month and recognize the outstanding contributions LGBT people have made to our great nation, let us all stand in solidarity with the many
next part.
LGBT people who live in dozens of countries worldwide that punish, imprison, or even execute individuals.
He had to get it in there.
He had to do the little dig there.
He had to. He hates. Right. That's the anti-Muslim.
Exactly. That's his little thing.
Yeah.
This is all. This guy. Let's be honest. We're going to go through some of this because
it's what he did after Pulse when he said, "I will protect you from Hillary Clinton because she's trying. I will protect gay people
come into the country, right?
from the people who would do you harm. Hillary Clinton wants to let them in." That's the same thing. It's so boring.
And it's so funny. On this very yesterday and today, there were articles, like Think Progress wrote an article today about nearly all of the political advances trans people made under Barack Obama are now gone. I mean, objectively speaking, this is what Trump has done. And the anti-trans stuff, transgender, this demonization is off the charts and we covered this last week on the show, like with HUD, Housing and Urban Development, regarding trans homeless people. They're going to get rid of the regulations now that you can be a homeless shelter, gets federal funding, and you could say to someone who's transgender, nope, I don't want you here. I don't like you people. Yep. Get out. I don't like your type here. Keep out.
Yeah.
A homeless, I can't think of a more vulnerable person. You're homeless, so you're extremely, and then you're a homeless transgender American. And now this administration is rolling back regulations. The T of LGBT is important. It's not like cut off there. It's horrific. What was your reaction when you saw this one? Because we already talked about the ban on transgender Americans who want to serve in our military who have more courage in one day than Trump has in his life.
I would. So you talked about the progress that had been made for trans Americans under President Obama, and that's kind of all been obliterated, as if we're somehow back to ground zero there. I would argue that it's worse. The pendulum has swung because people, feel they used to do their hating privately.
Right.
So we've got the murders of trans women especially trans women of color, is skyrocketing. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that a trans woman died this week after having been shot a couple of days ago. Mm-hmm. It makes me so sick and mad and scared. I don't know. I'm so tired of being outraged. It's working.
We're gonna
He's
keep
worn
it-
us down.
We're going to continue to fight. And then a new regulation just proposed this week, just in the last day, that would allow healthcare providers to discriminate based on gender identity, replacing an Obama-era rule that included gender identity and sexual orientation under the definition of sex discrimination. So they're going to allow healthcare providers all under the guise of religious liberty. That's what this is all about. It's allowing people to discriminate in the name of Jesus Christ, which I know a lot about Jesus. You know even more. That is
You know more.
that is the antithesis of what Jesus was about.
Right.
Jesus came back. He would go to Franklin Graham. He would knee Franklin Graham in the groin. And then say, stop using my
100%.
name, and then headbutt him. And be like,
100%.
boom, how do you like that? And then throw his sandals at him. Now, it's,
Oh, violent Jesus.
at this point, Jesus said in the New Testament, I didn't come to bring peace, I came to bring the sword. I mean, people forget what's really, everyone remembers the beautiful stuff.
right.
There's stuff in the New Testament. Jesus was, at least the way he was written, I mean, they wrote a novel about him. I mean, the way it was written about was the way that people cite is this turn the other cheek guy. That's truthfully in there, but he really did say, I didn't come to bring peace, I came to bring the sword. He also said, if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak to get one. He was a rebel. He was against the occupation of the Romans, essentially, at the time. So it was very subtle messages to people. What he really literally said, I don't know. These things, the New Testament was written in books starting, decades later than 100 years later. But in any event, that was the point. So, estimates are there are 1.4 million transgender Americans. But what's the most vulnerable, not just the homeless ones, but teens. And there was a study recently, 41% of transgender teens say they've attempted suicide. That's 1 in 2, while the normal average is like 2 to 3%. This is horrific.
Yeah.
So with these policies of Trump saying, you don't belong, I can only imagine that makes that worse for the young transgender Americans, the boys and girls watching this stuff.
Well, it is. And, in my being out for 9 years, I've had the great fortune to become friends with a lot of really amazing, dynamic people in the trans community. And I think sometimes people hear us talking about this, and it just is, it's abstract.
Right.
But I want to talk a little bit about my dad's wife, my stepmom of 20 plus years, almost 24 years. My dad and my stepmom have a granddaughter who is trans. And I've watched the evolution of this young person since I came out. This young person's courage to identify as gay at first and now trans. And she's in a small town in Kansas. And I know up close and personal. I was just home. My dad had a heart attack a few weeks ago. That's why I missed your show.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Oh, great.
But I was able to see this young person who she's been, kind of like a niece to me all of this time. We're all very close, and to hear what she's going through in school and trying to get a job, she feels threatened. Her physical safety is threatened every day. So what she has to deal with, it's like she's looking over her shoulder. People threaten her life. Rednecks come into the store and overtly say, I'm going to whip your ass.
Really?
Yeah. And this is 40 minutes outside of Kansas City. So it's not the country, but it's, small town America. So when we talk about these statistics that you're rattling off there and that you and I are talking about, the T and LGBT, you have to know that it's a real person behind that letter. I know you know that, and I know that, but even sometimes I forget. And it kind of, it lit a light bulb over my head when I went home, and I just kind of plugged back into what she's dealing with. And the fact that our administration even takes the time, to level policies that are so hateful and dangerous. And again, these policies feed the hate of these homosexuals who easily, if they want to take out a gay, black trans woman, they can, and they do. And then they do.
It is heartbreaking, and the policy of an administration sets a tone, and Obama was one about empowering and furthering equality as much as possible. And it's simply about equality, having the same rights. And Trump, and it's not a surprise, look at his faith group that surrounds him. Franklin Graham, Reverend Jeffers, Jerry Falwell Jr. A lot of them, there's another guy, name escapes me.
Who's the guy? He's the African-American guy who he kind of looks like he had been a boxer at one time. His nose, what I'm talking about.
I can't remember his name. Is it Bishop? I can't remember. But to me, it's not about him. It's as much as these other ones, many of them who are on the Southern Poverty Law Center's list of anti-LGBT hate group leaders. And Trump surrounds himself with them. And Pence, who is an anti-LGBT hate group leader, is instrumental. I mean, this is all, there's no excuse for Trump. I mean, he's completely complicit and culpable.
Yeah.
But this is Pence's fingerprints are all over this. Pence's idea of Christian Sharia law, and this is part of it in this country. We have to take a break. They're yelling at me.
Breaks.
Keep your thoughts. We'll be right back with Shelley right after this. Progressive values are the best of American values, and we need to keep fighting for them to save our country.
Don't go anywhere. This is the Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Back to the Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. We're here with our friend Shelley Wright, country music star. She's got a new EP, Revival, which you'll tell us about.
It's on vinyl.
It's on vinyl?
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
Vinyl's back. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So I got to go to my mom's attic and get my stereo
Yes, you
to
do.
play it?
Do you still have your records?
I have some.
Don't
you know what
get
my
rid of them.
first CD was? And it's only relevant to you. My first CD, Richard Marx, your friend.
You are kidding.
I'm
me.
not kidding you. Richard Marx, who now I think follows me on Twitter. I follow him because of you. And
That's
Shelley's
so
good friends
cool.
with him. And it was his big hit album in like the night.
Yeah.
Because he was a
Repeat offender?
maybe.
Probably.
But it literally was my first CD ever. Because my girlfriend
amazing.
at the time bought me a CD player. And here's the whole story. We were like at, I don't know, Asbury Park or Seaside. And we won it and they had CDs, and so he won it by whatever, blowing up a balloon with something or
nice.
shooting a dart, whatever it may have been, something. And that was it. So it's so funny. So Richard Marx, I always remember,
Right.
like the first CD I ever bought. So I don't think I told him that when we were
should
tweeting
have.
and then you were involved in it.
He's the best. He's the best.
He's a producer now, right?
Yeah, he's still making his own records,
he is too.
touring, like sells out shows every night. Writes a ton of great songs, produces hit songs that you wouldn't even know he wrote and produced. He's a beast.
We had the lead singer on from Third Eye Blind who works with your Stephen, can't remember his name. He's a political guy, very political guy.
He works with Carla.
Yeah,
my publicist.
your
right.
publicist. That's
yeah.
right. He was good.
We're label mates.
Your label mates. Oh,
Yeah,
very interesting.
yeah.
So all right, so let's talk about now. By the way, seriously, with vinyl, like by putting it on vinyl, though, you can still get it digitally because everyone's used to digital now.
Yeah.
What is the upside musically for vinyl?
Well, first of all, it's the only lossless audio medium.
What word was that?
Lossless.
I have to quickly Google this.
LOSSLESS.
I don't know what this word means.
Meaning there's no loss. There's no quality loss in a compressed file, an MP3. It doesn't sound the way that
digital would sound better than a.
Oh, it does not. It sounds worse. A record is the only way that it sounds exactly as the artist, producer, musicians intended it to sound.
So the cool thing now, I have to go buy a turntable.
Yeah.
So I can play Shelley's Revival.
Yeah, and
EP.
everyone, especially every major artist and all indie artists are making vinyl again. Here's a little stat.
Interesting.
An artist can make more money from selling 100 units of vinyl than they can 3.5 million YouTube streams or views, and like 1.5 million Spotify streams. Spotify doesn't pay us well,
Right?
Like Pandora, all of those streaming services, they
Can't
don't.
badmouth Pandora anymore. SiriusXM owns Pandora now.
Sorry about that.
I'm kidding.
Call me.
I'm fine. I'm
no,
kidding.
but
they actually do now.
But 100 units of vinyl
Interesting.
pays an artist more.
So I have to go home and get my collection of albums, which I can tell you. You want to know what's in my collection of albums?
Yes.
A lot of Cars albums, like Cars.
Right.
A
I
lot
had
of-
dinner with Rick Ocasek
You
one
did?
night. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then a lot of, I'm trying to think, Def Leppard is in my
Oh,
collection.
Pour Some Sugar on Me. You
no,
have that.
not that one. I don't. I didn't like that one.
Pyromania?
I like Pyromania.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Good.
And then some Elton John. Now I'm
Yeah.
going to see the movie this weekend probably. But there was, Zeppelin and it's a really eclectic collection. Like when I used to go to concerts when I was younger, I went from everything from, I'm not kidding, from Bob Seger to Ozzy Osbourne. That's how many, I would do
Oh, cool.
everything. I mean, I did go to Bob Seger.
Yeah.
I did go to Ozzy Osbourne. I did go see AC/DC.
Nice.
For those about the Salute You tour
Right.
here.
You had to
go. I never went to I never went to country music. Sorry.
That's
I went
okay.
to country music. No, I have nothing against country music.
Have you ever gone to a country show?
Country?
Yeah.
Country music?
Can I be your first?
Yes, I would love
Okay.
that. I'd be honored. Because I used to make fun of country music in my act. I would say things like, at Guantanamo, to get them to talk, we should play like Toby Keith or some kind of garbage. Because after like 20 minutes, like, I will tell you anything. I will make up things, but stop the Toby Keith. I cannot take this. So I used to do jokes like that. And that was audio terrorism. I had a special Comedy
Audio
Central. I had a special Comedy Central called Axis of Evil where I used that term. Country music is audio terrorism. So don't tell me Americans aren't terrorists. Audio terrorism, country music. I think I actually made the final cut of the Comedy Central special from 10 years ago.
I love it.
On
I
Axis
love
of
it.
Evil. So
There's a little truth to that.
no, it's fine. I just didn't grow up in that kind of music.
Yeah.
So it was unique to us. I grew up in, but I love music. I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan. I'm an accomplished guitarist. No, I'm very mediocre. So
Get your vinyl collection out. Let's start posting some photos. Let's get
I
it
have to go
going.
back and buy like a Yamaha turntable or whatever these.
They're everywhere. Brand
They are
new
now?
turntable. Yeah. They're like, you can buy one for, Crosley makes one for $99, up to like Audio Technica, up to brands that are like $1,000.
So
Yes.
instead of carrying around my little iPhone, I got to carry around a little turntable now as well to
well,
be cool. Like, I
it's
got my music
advisable
all
that
on
you
vinyl.
don't travel with it.
There's
It's-
going to make a portable player. There's got to be a portable.
No,
so you can
this
wear
is
it
the thing that
like
they can't mess up.
No. So you can keep the sound quality, but a portable turntable, like sort of like the beer hats that people have, like the beer hat, and you can drink the beer. But it says a little
You've
turntable.
run it into the ditch,
and then
Dean.
it run into your ears. And you can listen to the turntable while you're walking.
Okay, we're off the rails, so somebody take us off the air. Can the FCC please take us off the air? This is horrible.
There is no judging and brainstorming. I am
Right, we're just spitballing.
This is genius. I'm not kidding. If anyone's out there wants to make a lot of money, George Furman, the grill people, a turntable that's a little hat.
With beer.
No,
sorry.
no. I was using that as the model.
Oh, got it.
The beer hats, people can put beer in their hat and it goes down. You can drink the straws. So the little turntable, sort of a small one, and it plays one little song, and you have the little ears, and it goes down. This is genius. This is the kind of stuff that someone says, and then in 3 years from now, I'm living in a big mansion. I'm a genius. And like, whatever happened to Shelley Wright? Remember I told her that great idea? And like, Shelley, no.
I'll be working at the store that sells your device.
That would be so perfect. We just turned this from a progress show back to an insight show. This is like the kind of stuff we talked about on my insight show.
I like spitballing with you. That's fun.
This was fun.
The joy that just like swept across your face.
No, because I'm recognizing the genius that I am giving here to you. And I'm like, this is genius. I should be writing this down and selling this. No, I think it's interesting, though. You've intrigued me enough. And I hope people listening to, taking a slight break from should Trump be impeached today or tomorrow, which we've been talking about for days, which we'll get into in a second. But the idea, I'm intrigued by listening to vinyl music on vinyl versus my music, because I honestly thought digital would be a more pure way of ensuring, because it's data.
Horrible. It's compressed.
That's so interesting.
It doesn't. You'll notice a difference. We're gonna A/B it. I'm coming over to your apartment. We're gonna get your vinyl. Yeah, we're gonna A/B it. We're gonna listen to an MP3. Then we're gonna listen to analog. And the warmth and the crackle and the room and the
I have a lot of Beatle albums. I have tons. I have the White Album. I have Blue Album, Red Album.
The
I got
originals?
So many. Yeah, well, from a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, no. They weren't at the time. They were
the
sold
reissues.
the 1990s, 80s, and 90s, that kind of stuff. Foreigner. That was one of my first albums. Foreigner. And
you know what? One of the things when you say those titles, I'm seeing the album cover, and that is part and parcel of why people are buying vinyl again, because their entire music experience is on their iPhone or their Galaxy or whatever. They don't want that.
What's the first record you ever bought? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. It was Ricky Skaggs' "Waiting for the Sun to Shine."
Really? Mm-hmm. My first,
and I still have it.
You still have it? I think I have my first 45. Mm-hmm. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. Oh, nice. That was my first one. And then
that's the first one I bought, though. I have original Beatles 45s, original Elvis. My parents gave me their vinyl collection when I was about 6.
My dad, I have original belly dancing music. I'm not kidding. My father had the 60s.
This show just got really good.
No, I'm not kidding. It really does. So my dad's Arab. So he had Arabic music. When I was growing up, we'd hear this music.
Wow.
It wasn't all belly dancing, but some. And my second.
It wasn't all belly dancing.
And my second 45 was Jim Stafford's Spiders and Snakes.
That's kind of country.
Oh, you're right. It probably was. You're right. So that's right.
So that's your dirty little secret.
But I bought them together because I liked the song. I didn't judge it. And then the other songs I really liked were like those funny. I had Steve Martin's album.
I had Robin Williams' comedy album.
But also they did these songs in I think the 70s. I think it wasn't the 60s. It was 70s.
Surfing Bird.
Well, no, they would cut together. It would be a comedy thing, but it wasn't by a person. And they'd cut in music in it. Yeah. And to be the punchline. Oh. Right. And it was, and I still have it. I always remember like the Jaw. It was around the time of Jaw. But in any event, now I'm really lost
I think
my
my coolest record I have is a 45. I believe it's 1965 by a gal named Shirley Ellis. And you may not have ever heard of the record, but you've heard people do what was on the record. Shelly, Bobelli, Banana.
Oh, sure,
Fana,
it's a famous song.
Yeah, Shirley Ellis. I have that original 45.
Because of Shelley?
No, just because it was in the stack of records my folks had.
I wish there was a Dean. There was no songs with Dean in it.
I can do it, though. Dean, Bobine, Banana.
My sister's name is Dawn, so there's a lot of like, Dawn, go away, you're too good for me.
Your last name is Dawn?
No, my sister's name is Dawn.
Oh, I thought you said my surname is Dawn.
No,
Dean Dawn?
My sister's name. Dean and Dawn.
Did I call you that?
Dean.
Dean Dawn.
No, Dean Dawn. That's my
the
name.
country fan. Dean Dan. Dean Dawn.
My country name would be Dean Dallas. That's what I always thought it was going to be. All right, we have to take a break because now we really just are silly. It's Friday in the summer.
It's ridiculous.
When we come back, though, I really want to talk seriously about the new Trump policy, LGBT. Folks, this is not even getting pressed. They should be getting pressed. they're literally now proposed a new rule to allow foster care to deny allowing children who need foster care if you're a same-sex couple. This is off the charts. We are moving backwards faster, and Trump's tweets and everything else lose sight from people being affected. And Shelley's family used to take foster care kids in.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about this in real terms when we come back with our friend Shelley right after this. Look, it's time the media start calling out Trump's false statements for what they are. Lies. Trump is a liar. And by the looks of it, he's lying every day and twice on Sundays.
The Dean Obadala Show.
You're listening to the Dean Obadala Show, Sirius XM's Progress.
And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show, Friday, May 31st. Guess who's still here? Shelley Wright, country music star, new EP out, Revival on vinyl, which turned us into a whole different conversation than I expected. Also, activist for the LGBT community. So, a new anti-LGBT policy proposed by Trump, just one after the other. I mean, he literally, is it too much to say he's the most anti-LGBT president in the modern era? Maybe there's years and decades ago, there must have been worse, but to roll back everything Obama's doing is pretty horrific.
I don't think he's the most anti-LGBT president in modern history, but he plays one on TV.
Right, because his policies speak for him. I don't care what he's about.
Right.
So this new one is
this administration
will keep foster children from having a loving home. They will make it easier for adoption agencies to reject same-sex couples who want to take care of foster children. Now, your family, when you were growing up, were taking care of these foster kids. Tell us about these kids. I mean, are they in need? Are they vulnerable?
Well, yeah. And my family was really, I think over the years, we had 20 kids in and out of there. We had one little boy we had for a couple of years, and it was our goal was to help him find a forever family, which he did. But these kids were on the precipice of homelessness, being hurt, physically injured by their parents.
Wow.
They're in danger. They're at a huge turning point in their lives, and if they can get into a foster family, a loving, safe environment, it's a game changer. And if they can't, they're going to have an even more difficult life. And so just, eliminating the opportunity for a loving LGBT or same-sex couple to take in a child that needs help is criminal.
They would rather allow someone to discriminate because they personally are uncomfortable with same-sex couples, not the kids, but these adults, than allow a child to have a loving home that could help them for their entire life type of situation. And it's remarkable to hear that they do this in the name of Jesus. And that's the worst part of all this. This is all about religious liberty.
Yeah.
So they're going to give more ability to allow you to discriminate in the name of your faith. And
it's sick.
I mean, again, there's nothing, if you know anything about Jesus Christ, it's about caring for people who are the most vulnerable. I mean, that's what so much of the lessons of his life were for us. And to allow this, or to say this is consistent with Christianity, it's not really with real Christianity, it's with their own Christianity. They've turned it into their own faith.
Wouldn't you love to have our administration kind of flesh out what the detriments are of a same-sex couple? I want to hear what they say.
That's a good point.
I'd love to hear.
They won't do that. They just want to say, well, some people have religious objections to same-sex couples.
Yeah,
so,
but they always say that.
Right.
I want to know what they think that is happening.
And what about these, what's the next step? What are these foster agencies, their religious liberty allows them to say, well, I don't like Jews, so I'm not going to let it go to a Jewish couple. Right. I'm against Muslims, which a lot of them are, frankly.
And I also consider, well, you're right. It's one step away from then there will be, like, no gay parents, same-sex couples will be allowed at all to participate in the foster care system. And think about that young, trans, 15-year-old girl who needs a loving, safe environment that might understand her situation or be more apt to, be a good role model for her.
I wish these changes would get more press. What has gotten a lot of press, and we'll talk about this for about a couple of minutes before we have to hit a break here, but was all the right-wing laws, and we just had one passed in Louisiana on Thursday, signed into law by a Democrat. To be fair, this is a Democrat, Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards. And this is the fetal heartbeat bill that's been signed mostly by almost all by Republicans except for this one, which bans abortion even in the case of incest or rape after 6 weeks when the fetal heartbeat. But we have a history of it from Alabama, Missouri, Mississippi, Georgia, you name it. And it's about imposing their religious beliefs on the rest of us. And to them, that's American values. I don't get it. It seems inconsistent.
Can you imagine being agnostic in America? You have to go along with Mike Pence's rules, and even if you're like, well, I don't have a faith practice. Why do I have to follow your rules?
Right.
And can you imagine being a woman, a girl who has to bear your father's child in the case of incest?
And anyone who is a victim of rape to carry the rapist's baby to term. But not even using the extreme example, it's just a typical woman who wants reproductive liberty over her own body. It's her organs, it's her body, but you have primarily, these are men saying, nope, you can't do that with your body. And the response is like, are you fucking kidding me? I hate the curse, but I'm like, that should be the response. Like, you're out of your mind? This is my body. But instead it's like, well, that's the way it goes in America.
I'm telling you, Handmaid's Tale, it's almost unwatchable.
What, that show compared to what's going on?
No, because it's a documentary at this point.
All right, let's take a quick break. Come right back with our friend Shelley.
Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127. Dean Obadala Show on Sirius XM Progress 127.
Good thing. And welcome back, Dean Obadala Show. I was just talking to my friend Shelly Wright here about her DNA. She figured out from Ellis Island what her real background is. If you can't go to Ellis Island, here's another way. 23andMe. 23andMe.com. Father's Day is right around the corner. Here's the perfect gift for your dad. You can find out your ancestry, you confirm it once and for all. I did it, was really cool, but also gives you some insight into health issues and traits such as potential for diabetes. And most Americans don't know they're pre-diabetic, but 23andMe can make you aware of it. And you can change your lifestyle to make sure, or at least reduce the chances of getting it. So it's a great gift for discovery. It's a gift that shows your care. It's insightful. It's also good for your health. So check it out. Right now, save $50 off for your dad. That's right. $50 off by going to 23andme.com. That's the number 23 and the words nme.com/Dino. You got to use Dino because I'm going Italian with this one. Deano. Some other host has got Dean. That's why. And Dino. Offer ends June 17th. Again, that's 23andme.com/Dino. Offer ends June 17th.
Dean, is it 23, the letter N, me, or
No,
and me?
And.
23 and me.
On my Jersey accent, kind of undermining that. 23 and A-N-D.
I wanna
now we
do
got to
it.
pay Shelly Wright because now she was part of the whole endorsement. So.
Well, I mean...
So, Shelly, we only have a minute. We can't start a new topic. It was very nice to see you. Where can people find out more about the new EP on?
It's called Revival. You can stream it. You can buy it. You can download it. Shelly.com, which is Chely. I've got a bunch of tour dates coming up. I'll be in Texas next week. I'll be in Nashville next week. Come and find me.
And when you're coming back to New York, I got to go to my first country concert.
Yes, I'm playing Joe's Pub. I'm not sure when.
Oh, what a
I've
great
forgotten
venue.
the
I've been there for a lot of events. That's a great venue.
great
We're going to
venue.
be there. Me and my
Okay.
lady will be there.
Oh, my
Shelly,
God.
so nice to see you, my
too.
friend. I appreciate
I'm so excited
that I'm going to come see country music.
No, that we just did a great show.
Oh,
I feel like
thank you. All right, Shelly's actually excited. She was not excited coming here, but leaving, she's excited. We're going to come back with what just happened right here on the Dean Obadala Show right after this quick break.